Hello, everyone. I'm so excited that you are here. My name is MJ Malpiedi from Books, and we are here to celebrate the release of Luna Ray Hall's No Matter the Diagnosis. Ah, my God. This, like many, has been a long time coming. I've been so excited to work with you, Luna, and so proud to put this book out in the world now. Not only do we have Luna reading tonight, but we have an incredible deck of GOB authors for you. Not one, not two, but four GOB authors in the house tonight, opening up for us. And we have Julia Gaskill, Maya Williams, Frank Allison, and Emily Stoddard with us. This is just going to be a night full of love and incredible poems. So I hope you are really prepared. We will also do a little Q&A with Luna at the end. So if there are any questions that you want to ask the author, think about those as you're listening to poems and stuff. We want to get to them if you got them. So with that, I really don't want to waste too much time because we seriously got some cool people here and I want to get right into it. So with that, I am going to totally not forget to pull up Julia's bio here. Julia Gaskill, she, her, is a professional daydreamer. Hailing from Portland, Oregon, she competed multiple times on national stages and has toured with her poetry across North America. Her work has been published through Nailed Magazine, FreezeRay Poetry, Knights Library Magazine, and more. She has had her poetry featured on YouTube channels such as Slam Find and Right About Now. She was included in 2020's anthology in Abstitia, and she has collaborated with the band Impulse Control on the track Television off their latest album. Her poem, I Will Not Beg for Scraps, was nominated for Best the Net in 2015. Julia is the author of 4 chapbooks, runs the Mike Slamlandia out of Portland. Shout out to Slamlandia. So freaking awesome. Co-founded the Bigfoot Regional Poetry Slam in 2019 and is the creator of the spoken word album South-Hearted Bitch. She is ecstatic to have her debut poetry collection put out through Game Over Books. Actually, it's already out. It's called Weirdo, and it's freaking amazing. It goes without saying, she loves dogs and Muppets more than you. Find Julia at Geek Girl Grown Up or Facebook/GGaskPoetry. Let me get Julia up here. Hold on, where are you at? Where are you at? All right, Julia, I'm gonna get my stupid face out of the way. You can take it away.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Hi, hello everybody. I'm a true organizer poetry host because I literally just started a timer for myself so I don't go over time. Thank you so much, Luna, for having me be part of this. I'm super excited to get my hands on your book and also to hear you read, and also everybody else. And it's very exciting. MJ already mentioned I have a book out through Game Over called Weirdo. It came out in October of oh my God, what is time? 2022. Christ. I maybe will end with a poem from that, but I asked Luna kind of about themes for their book coming out, and so I chose mostly bummer poetry about mental health because that's what I've been writing about for the last year. And so I guess I'm going to get into that, and I'll just give a overall like content warning for depression, anxiety, medication, and frustrations around all of that. So I'm gonna read a couple short ones, a little bit of a longer one, and then wrap up so we can hear all the other poets. This first poem is called Mechanical Persistence. Today, I feel more robot than sentient mound of flesh. Flesh is hard to maneuver in public. Public appearances are a cause for crawling back into bed. Bed will never judge you. You can hear the gears puttering inside me if you listen close. Close my eyes and maybe no one can see the panic. Panic is the oil that keeps my operator box running low on battery before I am out the door for work nonstop so that everyone praises my mechanical persistence. Persistence is what's going to get me in the end. End of the road. I am losing control of this damn thing. Thing about being a robot is I do not know who I was today. That is the first poem. Super, I get to set the tone for the rest of the evening. Oh boy. This poem is called Overcommitted. One day I will be bones enough to say no when I should say no. At some point, kid, something's gotta give. And you keep edging towards the tilt, clumsy wobble, oblivion's temptation. Haven't you been here before? Isn't this a hollow man's shore? Weren't you Bible swearing to your therapist that you changed not 2 weeks ago? Maybe you love the can I do it all rush. Maybe the adrenaline of a packed punch of a day is the only thing keeping your brain hungry. Or maybe it's that no again, the blessed relief you never allow yourself. Why stop a good thing, I guess? Why leave your hands empty and listless and clawing? Why take off the shoes when, goddamn lady, you run so fast they all could swear you were flying, eyes glued on your sprint, never noticing that your shoelaces have been untied for months? Home. Home. This one's a little bit longer. This poem encapsulates like 2 months that I got to experience last year and the frustrations around it. Yeah, all right. It's called When It's Been Over 8 Weeks and the ADHD medication your psychiatrist finally prescribed you has still not come into the pharmacy, a Sestina. Do not weep in front of the bespectacled pharmacist. Pills are not worth the pageant and pomp, no matter how crazed you feel today. Instead, smile and say thanks. Head home. Do your monsooning behind closed doors. Clouds overhead. Your skin itches. Thoughts bend like origami. Hold in the bubbling scream. Know that you are not broken. Invite the cauldron of feelings in through the broken window of your brain. Let them fester. Maybe pills would fix nothing. Maybe this dredged unfocusing you're holding is a forever feeling. A wart, poison ivy scar, sap. Crazed looks good on you, like a fresh coat of paint in the kitchen. Clouds dotted on all the walls, gray and fat, your new home. Though, calling all of this insanity that lurks inside of you a home feels too cliche. Say it enough times and your throat morphs into a broken record, a song of static. You try to cobble unshakable clouds into a pretty thing, but it prickles like a lie. You daydream that pills become house keys, dopamine the smiling neighbors, the crazed block party outside starts like a timed release. Hold yourself in all of this, I guess. Hold firm, hold calculated, hold statue still, even though you are monsooning. If you must make a home for yourself, do it in this awful, this every day of your life, this crazed existence. Your friends are shadow folk. Your lipstick stain, every broken promise that falls out of your pocket. You wander the house like a foreigner. Pills have so much potential, but are unreachable clouds. You do not know how to be human on every other day. Cloud-headed girl, days of insanity, days of uncertainty, a frozen hand in need of holding. You call the pharmacy for the 100th time and the pills are still not there, not in your gut, not in your purse, not in your home. So you stand here promising yourself that you are not broken. It prickles like a lie. You cannot find your keys. Your forgetting is crazed, and your mountains of lists are crazed, and your fidgeting body is crazed. Voices are thick like a funeral veil. The clock's hands dainty as clouds. This forever feeling pulsates. You laugh. You have been broken since you were born. The world was so busy wanting another girl to hold, it did not bother to see you as a person. You could have made a nice home of this if only someone had seen, had not treated you like a pill. And the pharmacy does not have your pills and does not care how crazed you feel crying alone in your home. You are a child made of static and clouds, and you worry that you can no longer hold yourself, not until you baptize away the broken. Poem. That's poem. All right. I'm gonna do 2 short poems and then I'll wrap up and we can hear from some other wonderful poets. This is one kind of fits with the rest of what I've been reading, but it has a bit of a happier. We're gonna shift to a happier feel a little bit. This one's called The Waves Break. Today the sun came out to greet me while at work, and maybe I feel one iota better now. I am still a bucket of wet sand on the inside, but there is something about the embrace of that giant yellow beast in the sky who we all pray to come back each spring, gifts us sustenance and warmth and a farewell to those grief-stricken clouds. I imagine seeping sludge out of my bucket and building myself into a clumsy, well-worn sandcastle, or writing squiggly words on my cookie crumb skin like, I hurt you, for the wide world to read, or burying a loved one's body deep in my chest where they can feel my heart ricocheting in beat with the ocean's hum. I do none of this. I stay gurgling and muddy in my green plastic child's bucket, unmoving. But still, I thought about the building, about the writing, about the burying, and sometimes that is enough. Sometimes just the thought of tomorrow feels like the whole damn beach. All right, I'm going to end with one last poem, which will be, I'll do a poem from my book. This is a game over reading, so I feel like I should do something from Weirdo. But again, I want to thank Luna for asking me to take part of this. Thank you to MJ for doing all the behind the scenes work as an organizer. I know it's a lot. It's a lot to do the behind the scenes stuff. And thank you to Josh and everyone else. And I'm just excited to hear more poems. I'll do this last one and then we'll continue. All right. This is a short one. It's called I Come Out to My Mother at Long Last. Once I was a fawn dipped in holy water, the forest my haven, the trees my family, the flowers my communion, the creek my rosary, the leaves whispering a promise of heaven, but only if I grew to be the kind of doe the forest wanted, all speckled with beguile and tame and meek, the kind who freezes when it gets too bright, prettiest when mounted on any man's wall. But I never wanted to be a doe, when I could be a marsh wren, or a common shrew, or a short-tailed weasel, or all of the animals contained inside of my lungs. I've always been a scream, really, the kind caught behind your fangs, must be choking on the flowers again. I have always been an infatuation, the fur on my body prickling at the thought of any beautiful creature. Look at all the love I have, how I did not know for the longest time what to do with it. I have always been a constant. Yes, I think your daughter grew up to be a constant, a reliable beast, a steadfast gallop, a varmint so deliberate and self-assured she could never have known a forest, could never have set hoof in one, not in a million years, not even in a prayer. Thank y'all so much. Woo, I'm done.
Julia. Ah, Julia Gaskill. That was perfect. Oh, and then you put the book away at the end. You're like, I know that. Forget about it. I know this poem. Oh my God. Thank you so much. That was a perfect opener. You gave us the perfect foundation today for our reading. And with that, I think let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Okay. Next up, we have none other than Maya Williams. Oh my God. Oh, I have no bios up. I'm just a mess over here. Okay, there we are. Here we go. Wonderful. Maya Williams. She is a religious, Black, multiracial, non-binary suicide survivor who is currently the 7th Poet Laureate of Portland, Maine, from July 2021 to July 2024. Has published poems in venues such as the Portland Press Herald, the Cortland Review, FreezeRay, Indianapolis Review, Occulum, glitterMOB, Littoral Books, Black Table Arts, and more. Their debut poetry collection, Judas Suicide, was published in May 2023, and their second collection, Refused a Second Date, was published October 2023. She has received residencies from Sundress Academy for the Arts, Voices of Our Nation Arts, Foundation for the For Us By Us funds, Words of Fire Retreat, Hewnoaks Artist Colony, and The Watering Hole. Maya was one of 3 artists of color selected to represent Maine in the Kennedy Center Arts Across America series in 2020. No big deal, and was listed as one of the advocate champions of Pride in 2022. Maya also serves as the MaineTransNet Community Care Program Coordinator, where they develop peer support groups for trans survivors, develop educational materials on trauma-informed trans competency for advocates, provide outreach to incarcerated trans folks, and develop arts programming. Follow more of their work and invite them to read or facilitate a workshop at MayaWilliamsPoet.com. Please give a warm welcome to Maya.
Thank you, MJ. Thank you, Julia, for kicking us off. Thank you so much, Luna, for having us. I have 5 poems to read. Content warning for medication, for parental conflict, religion, and grief. Please take care of yourselves as needed. This first poem is called My Mind and Body Alone Together in Mid-May. My mind calls my body a hater. My body says anaphylactic shock is a let's try something different instead of a fuck you to my mind. My mind is early to bring the wraith assumption that Lexapro became allergy-ridden tar on purpose. My body lets every medical practitioner know from 11:15 a.m. to 9 p.m. that while my throat and lungs are fine, my heart is in the most turmoil, beats the chest into a new era of survival. My mind wonders, how much is the beating due to the epinephrine coursing through my veins versus the obsessive anxiety's impetus to rat all over my innards? My body reminds, sleep, eat, Feel the white sheets on the hospital bed. Is this what the inside of a casket feels like? My mind begs for tea, art, and walks across Chicago's earth to unwind until my body gets trapped in an elevator for an hour. I am Schrodinger's cats incarnate. The hotel staff won't know how I am until the conveyor box is open. I am simultaneously okay and not okay in their minds, while my mind screams, I am definitely not okay. My body feels the heat amidst the reality of this animated trap. I text Quinn about the past couple of days. Quinn, what god did you piss off? Me. Apparently one that wants my heart to just stop in its tracks. This next poem is called It Sucks to Call My Dad a Liar. My brother is a great father. I never want his daughter to feel lied to. I'm tired of our father blaming the women in his life for being a bad father, like blaming our stepmother for why he doesn't have a relationship with me anymore. My brother said, "You're overthinking it." He can't help but laugh at our father's arguments with our stepmother. They're just so stupid. I answer every time our father calls, but I blame work for why I don't call him. I can lie like my father, though I don't like to admit it. This next poem is from my second collection, Refuse a Second Date, through Harbor Editions. You have reached my emotional capacity. If you are my stepmother, please hang up and refer to boundary set Thursday, February 26, 2021 at 4:05 p.m. and Saturday, July 9th, 2022 at 8:18 p.m. My hope is you either divorce my father or go to therapy. If you are my father, please hang up and refer to boundary set Friday, August 26, 2022 at 1:50 p.m. My hope is you either divorce my stepmother or go to therapy. If you are my chosen family, press 1 to leave a message. My hope is to reply when my emotional capacity is available. To hear these options again, press star now. Thank you. 2 poems left. This is a new poem called Delivery Has Failed to Send. What a scam being alive is after losing so many people I thought I could hold on to. I haven't cried for Michael since 2018 after losing him in 2014. I have been revising the same poem about him since 2014. Doesn't that show he's still in every poem of mine, whether I like it or not? If I stopped crying for 6 out of the 10 years he's been gone, what does that say about my monstrous memory? What does that say for how long my brain can retain him before he slips away? I had this bad habit of messaging him after he was gone. I wanted him so badly to respond. It was the first time I ever experienced the denial part of grief for someone who died. The first time facts weren't enough proof for me. Are these lack of tears a new denial my body has formulated? Is my body marking all of missing him as spam? How much searching do I have to do to regulate the tears into my inbox again? Or do I have to search at all? God, I wish I had better metaphors. Who can speak in metaphors when my first kiss, my first fellow queer friend, my first fellow mentally ill friend is dead still? At least the tears were proof he was here. It still makes me upset I couldn't attend his funeral. I don't always say my dad tried his best, but that day he did. Travels couldn't work out. No gravesite visit yet. And the last poem will be from Judas Suicide. Woo woo. The devil is concerned with more pressing matters than my mental health issues. I won't deny. He sure has been the ghostwriter of most of the DSM, transforming transness into evil, corrupt contagion, softening the blow of racism by labeling it aimless. I won't lie. A theologian once described Jesus as his favorite ex-boyfriend who checks in. I thought my least favorite was the devil with his unwelcome arrival in spirit. But he is way too busy to be the spirit that possesses me. The devil has an apocalypse to plan. filled with red-orange flames from the arrows of trusty horsemen, a supremacist army with desire for hell's manifest destiny, eugenic colonial power. He has other curses to conjure that have zero correlation with mental illness. Emotions do not equate in ailment. There is a difference between the thoughts I can control and the thoughts I cannot. Yes, pray for me. Only pray the right one next time. Thank you all so much.
Maya Williams, everyone. Oh my goodness. I think we have the perfect openers here tonight. I don't know how you feel out there in the chat world, but oh my God. Okay. Feeling good about this. Feeling good. Let's keep this moving. So next up we have Frank Allison. I'm very excited to hear Frank read. This is my first time hearing Frank, so I'm super stoked. Frank Allison is a queer Jewish writer residing in Cincinnati, Ohio. She studied creative writing with an emphasis in poetry for 5 years at an art school she will not name. Frank is the author of Don't Thank God, Thank the Crash Test Dummies That Came Before You. That's one of the best titles. She loves fast cars, throwing knives, and hot coffee. You can find them on social media at Frank with a Knife. Please, everybody, welcome Frank.
I'm trying so hard to figure out Zoom. I'm so sorry. I'm not built for this.
No, you're good. You're good. We got you. We got you.
Okay. Hello. Hi. Thank you so much to MJ for hosting. Thank you so much to Luna Ray Hall, who I am thrilled for. I'm so excited to be able to actually read this book in full. But thanks for having me. And thank you to everyone else who read. I'm having such a good time. I love hearing y'all's work. Okay, so most of what I'm going to read tonight, I think I have about 6 poems, is from Don't Thank God, Thank the Crash Test Dummies That Came Before You, which comes out in August. It'll be my first book. And then I do have, I think, one from something I've been working on other than that. Okay. Oh, and for a little bit of context, it is a book about motorsports. So all of these are going to be about motorsports. Which has a lot of body horror kind of emphasis to it, just inherently in that. This one is called Natural Prediction. Glory in flames and invisible fire, divine retribution for what we've done to the sound barrier. An endless cascade of we own this is ours, shot through with stripes of I only know it as it was told to me. Do you feel the grip of a firm hand placed upon your own? Hold tight, son, straight on till the morning. And there it is, so clear you almost missed it, so obvious you already knew. There isn't much to be born of a coward's living, a fearful entry. There isn't much to be done with a man afraid to grip the reins. And so, in flight and fear, we continue on in our pursuit of heaven. Okay. I'm so nervous, my voice is shaking. So, the next one is called, what's the title of the book? Don't Thank God, Thank the Crash Test Dummies That Came Before You. Hand and body, slick and heaving, bearing witness to the work of it all. I will never see you. Hand to rain, hand to God, and gripping the wheel. Except it's less than that. It's a half moon where you too are cleaved. Emptying your guts onto the stage provided does not make for a good show, but they reconsider upon first blood. The way you broke your heart open in half, for me, was unimpressive, but I appreciate the screaming. Okay. This next one is called They Don't Give Podiums for Being Able to Take a Hit. The grit of 1,000 beaches, Miami, Portimao, 20 lifetimes sifted into one treacherous come down. It hurts less if you bite down on something hard, so do it quick. Thread skips along a rib cage you could be convinced you don't need, if only it would make the pain stop. That's the thing with distraction, though. By the end, you're formless and shapeless, cursing on the bathroom floor. You always thought the pain of wanting would be worse than this, and you don't get a say where you start out, but you know where you'll end up sooner or later. While you're not as easily convinced as some of these other guys, you could be mistaken for a believer in the right light. Okay, I think I have 2 left, maybe? I don't know. Let's find out. This one is called Undercut. Leaner, we need you lighter on your feet. Chiseled into their Michelangelo, they're David in the face of Goliath, crushed and still holding the slingshot. And maybe you don't feel the chips missing at first. Maybe the sound of the master's hammer tapping away in the palms of the apprentice wasn't enough to stir your mind. The tickle of cracked marble dusting your feet, too gentle to incite panic. But I see it in the way your chest caves in, your spine curls, your legs abandon you. I saw who you became when the world squeezed harder, wanting to believe your crystallization saved you, rocketed you forward among the stars. You shredded yourself to pieces. I want to hand feed them back to you. Okay. And the one from, this is the last one. This is from a book that I've been working on that is also about motorsports, but more about the power dynamics inherent in them. It's called Even in the Face of Heaven, the book is, and the poem itself is called Sure, You Love Me Till Your Mother Doesn't. You love me, reckless and reliant, behaving like an endangered animal. Yet I'm the one who remains in a cage. You're afforded all this hurt, indignant and blinded, righteous rage, and you don't see me at all when you get like that. There's a place for me and a place for me, and none of them are at your family table. Dinner goes cold next to you, plate in position, saved for the girl with pedigree. So gilded and dog life, it gets you off to see her sit, stay. It'll take years off your life to worry like that. Don't think too much. You'll need Botox. Don't worry about Botox. You won't be laughing much longer. Cleopatra in chains in a garden of hothouse flowers you can't seem to repeat. That's all. Thank you.
Ooh, that is not all. That was incredible, Frank. Thank you. Oh my goodness. What? Good night. Oh, wow.
MJ, can you mute me? I don't know how to do it.
Yes, I can do it. I got you. You know what? Get out of here, kid. You're good. You did good. Oh my goodness. I'm having a great time, folks. I don't know about you. And last but certainly not least, we have Emily Stoddard to round out our openers tonight. And let me make sure I get up Emily's bio. Emily Stoddard, she, her, is a poet and writer living in Michigan. Her writing has appeared in Tupelo Quarterly, Baltimore Review, Ruminate, Radar, Tinderbox Poetry Journal, Cold Mountain Review, Whitefish Review, and elsewhere. In 2021, she was selected as the Nonfiction Fellow in the Developmental Editing Fellowship at Kenyon Review. Emily's debut poetry book is not forthcoming, but available from Game Over Books, and was a finalist for the Orson Poetry Prize, Wren Poetry Prize, and Barry Spacks Poetry Prize. She is also a leader of the Amherst Writers and Artists Method and supports fellow writers. Oh, wait. Sorry, totally forgot that you totally didn't want me to tell that. Me being a terrible host and not listening, that forget it. That last part of the bio isn't it there anymore. So forget that I said that stuff. But otherwise, I'm gonna bring up Emily. Folks don't have ADHD. Never get it. Never catch it.
That was flawless. Thank you, MJ. And thank you, Luna, for the chance to read tonight. And it's like such a gift hearing all of these words and being with like the Game Over Books community. Like there's a reason I chose Game Over Books, and I was like, yes, this is where I belong in the end for my first book. And I feel like tonight is just like a great reminder of that. So I'm really grateful for all of you here listening and everyone sharing. My book is Divination with a Human Heart Attached. Yay for long titles. I feel you, Frank. Like if you need advice on how to navigate that, let me know. And I will start with a poem called Descendants. If I can find it here. All right. Descendants. Restless for the language an ancestor spoke into the sky of their God, we sift remnants of tongues, break the breath. We count in generations, and this is false math. The ladder of my spine is lined by shores that were not ours to fish, by altars where we bowed and altars we burned, by prayers kept and killed. And we are not done yet, inventing names for what will save us. Even now, some speak of doves and some speak of towers. Next poem I'm going to share is I Might Have Been a Botanist. I might have been a botanist if they had let me stay inside the elementary school biology class, if I had not been sent to the chapel to kneel when my parents worried I was not ready for the reproductive habits of flora and fauna. As it is, exile did what it does, made the forbidden more ripe, and so I became a poet instead. When I finally got to see the parts, it was everything my parents feared. I was seduced. More, I said. Tell me your name, I said. Without the restraint of a scientist, the garden was left to green harder and harder, formed lush and private in my mind, where there is never any drought. The penchant trees, their xylem and phloem, one path to carry water, another to descend with sugar for the root. Black walnut's soapy smell and its many-chambered pith, which is enough to know it is not the tree of heaven. Flora climbs my throat. No wonder I wake up with new roots, datura, acer negundo, in my mouth. Oh, purple stalk, my teacher now. Yesterday you were a sign of life, but today, so I've learned, you are loose strife, and I am ripping you out before you choke bee balm, ironweed, bone set. Oh, anther, oh, stigma, oh, filament. Don't be mistaken. I was loved so carefully, so tediously, like a daughter. They only forgot to ask what I am a daughter of. So next poem, I feel like I was excited to see Maya here because I feel like our books, I was excited that they were released around the same time because I know we have like similar themes, similar places we're pulling from in our writing. So this one comes from, it's related to my dad, related to being raised in the church, Catholic church in my case, and watching my dad play Jesus every Lent in the Passion Play. So this is called Passion Play. And yeah. In the sacristy, I consider striking distance and the angles of whips. How close would a Roman soldier need to be to solicit a gash? How close to create a hairline of red? Would the whip roll across the skin in one clear lick, or would it hiccup across the folds? Did the son of the father have folds of skin, or was he polished tight by hard work like my father? How different are the muscles of a carpenter from the muscles of a forester? I decide on wide slashes, precise but hungry, as if the soldier had wanted to peel into the heart and apply the blood, a mix of caro syrup and red dye. Like Jesus in Gethsemane, my father did not want to be Jesus. He said he wanted to be Peter. The parish priest knew better. My father has never not wanted to be the hero. So every year he carries a cross through the church, trailed by screams of parishioners, "Crucify him, crucify him." He wears a crown of thorns he made from a wild honey locust, and better than ash, it leaves a bloody mark on his forehead. We raise his body up on the cross he built himself from a redwood tree. My mother makes the same joke about trying to live with him when he thinks he's God. And we practice his lines so much, they become a new kind of family prayer. I say, "Father, if it is your will." My brothers cry back, "Take this cup from me." I say, "The reason I was born, the reason I came into this world," and my brothers call, "is to testify to the truth." My father is known for his wail. My God, why have you forsaken me?" But I covet the lines where Jesus sounds lonely and surprised by it. "Peter, are you asleep? Could you not watch 1 hour with me?" As lonely as anyone who has ever tried to be human. Every year, I find a little more of the broken alien inside of him. My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my subjects would be fighting to save me from being handed over. As it is, my kingdom is not from here. Every year, I want more passion, less resurrection. Every year, the slashes get wider. And I'll just share one more poem. This is one of those poems that gets written in frustration in the revision process of, I don't want to be writing this book. I don't want to have to talk about these things. I don't know if other poets have that, but eventually there's like a poem where the resistance has to come out. So this is called, It Embarrasses Me to See Myself. It embarrasses me to see myself in the God exhibit, how it circuses and exaggerates every color and every color's centrifugal weight and shadows. Every rainbow is cataloged with its preceding storm, and the omens are a series of dead birds and fallen trees, each one tagged with a number before it becomes kindling for the fire, which is always chewing on the next dark possibility. Not everything is meant to be symbolic, but everything keeps trying to take the shape of a place I have loved. There is a sugar maple being reassembled by the carpenter ants that meant to destroy it. The bits of bark and pith fly toward the trunk like a firework in reverse. And as the branches return, they point to the blue that is left behind after New Mexico clouds punch out the sky. Clouds that thin out into the San Francisco dusk that reminds me of cotton candy being dissolved, making beautiful that feeling I could not escape. And when I remember the feeling, its counterweight soon appears and thickens above Lake Michigan as a blood orange curtain goodnighting the day. The visitors at this, and someone always chirps, red sky at night, sailor's delight. These syllables fill a well somewhere in the Midwest with fireflies, which eventually causes the bur oak to flare out and drop her acorns. The whole exhibit is one infinite Rube Goldberg machine, and the hummingbird is the docent, of course, because nothing is too on the nose or cliche here. And it is this lack of restraint that embarrasses me, the overtness of the machinations, how optimistically some people use the word faith. I avoid the word now, but the joke is on me. I wake up in another hemisphere and find the magpie singing to me on a rented porch, reminding me of the unnamed river that prevents me from leaving the exhibit entirely. There is a single salmon in the river that no one ever catches, and they say the final feat is when the machine turns and runs upstream. The final feat is always returning home. There are saints who know the way, Francis juggling naked in the corner of the garden, Teresa touching her heart on the fainting couch and begging, come closer. But they don't realize they are on display, and so then I'm embarrassed when I gawk, but I also don't try very hard to look away. In a small corner, I try hard to forget. There are things I've left behind. The engagement ring lost in a Tennessee field during the music festival, the orchid abandoned on the kitchen counter in the foggy apartment, the bluebird that was not a fortune teller after all. Look inside this diorama and you will see my uncreated futures chase each other like marbles. The smallest one saying, I love you regardless. It embarrasses me that I still need to look sometimes. It embarrasses me how much I still need to hear it, that it's going to be okay. Every other hour is darkness, but you can still hear the river. Every other hour is darkness, but you can still hear the river. Thank you.
Wow, Emily Stoddard, everybody. Oh, what a pleasure it's been tonight. Oh my God. And thank you for all the grace, Emily. I really appreciate it. I had one job. Emily's like, you did, it's okay. I still love Game Over Books. This has been such a special evening. What an amazing round of openers. So please give a warm hand to our 4 opening readers tonight. Julia, Maya, Frank, Emily, just incredible. I don't think we could have had a better group of people. And we have our feature to thank. None other than Luna Ray Hall themselves. Let's get ready for the main event, folks. What do you say? All right. So, Luna Ray Hall is a queer, trans, non-binary writer. They are the author of four, count them, four books, including The Patient Routine, Brigids Gate Press 2023, and now No Matter the Diagnosis, Game Over Books. Their poems have appeared in the Florida Review, the Rumpus, the Raleigh Review, among others. They live in St. Paul, Minnesota. Everybody, please give it up for none other than Luna Ray.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I know it's hard to give space to fun things and joy when the world is continually falling apart. So I just appreciate you giving time to come hear some poetry. Yes, here's No Matter the Diagnosis. It's not, the blur is not doing me a good job here. But you've seen it. I'm gonna read some poems from here, and then I'm gonna end on a poem that I'm working on for my next collection. So we'll just start. Trigger warning for illness and disease and I mean, like medicine, healthcare, everything. And thank you to MJ and Josh and Frank and Maya and Emily and Julia. I love doing these things and I love getting people together, and these are just an excuse. I just write books as an excuse to hear my fellow poets. So cool. Google starts with a tickle in the lungs. A fantasy of rot coiled branches, the letting of blood, sepsis in wait, a treatment of wormwood, poppy, then penicillin, the iron rib cage and transfusion, anti-antibiotics, flow rates peak, then shatter, the oximeter empty. It all starts with a tickle in the lungs, seized by morning light, an anxious stutter of air, and by night my body lay on an operating table, alcohol swabbed chest, sternum incision, felt marked, ready to be breached, begging it to manifest and fester, all that consumes me, proof that I was not imagining anything. This next poem is called Sick Boy, which I think is the worst, or the first, not the worst. It might be the worst. The first poem that I wrote for this collection, Sick Boy. Cold threads my tongue the way it threads lungs in ground in winter. When I tell my coworkers after an extended absence, oh, well, you know I'm kind of sick all the time, so don't worry about me. Last month, the absence was long. The month before, shorter. The month prior, I've become the office sick boy. My eyes are gorged on infection, fingers are flu, my stomach a knot, digestive struggle, forehead pyre, nose draining into a philtrum, a body of water, and you know I've accepted this. Look at me. Come one, come all, here lies the still warm, still full of life corpse of the sick boy. Notice the tissues, notice the blanket and cough medicine and drops, and look, none of it is there. I know none of it is there. I know when I ask for a sick day, I want to mean I'm sick, like cough, cough, like I can't get out of bed because my lungs are brimming with foama and bricks, like I caught me the hottest fever. But what I mean is I'm convinced that a botfly burrowed into the left side of my temple, that I watched a documentary on the botfly or paced for hours, not sleeping, vomited on my bed, when I found a tiny bump and rubbed it until it peeled and bled. And when I saw the open wound, I noticed a small cut like a lowercase j on my cheek. And where did that come from? And could that be causing my TMD? And if I rub it with enough force, will the skin fold over and not scar? Cool. Hope everyone's having fun with these. This next one is called My Mother Got Cancer Before Me. And I know what you are thinking. It's not a competition, but it feels like one. I'm worried she's on the podium of wasting away, and I'm in the crowd booing the award ceremony like I lost at the one thing I thought I was good at. I'm worried no one will ever associate me with cancer, that all my worry was for naught. But I'm most worried that she'll be better at it than me, that she is better at it than me. Her Keytruda veins and shedding, swollen fist and nerve panic, body barely able to generate any warmth despite the layers. Irradiated throat, lungs restive at the growth within them, pleural space straining to satisfy the tumor's want, porthole shoulder and infusion, skin so ragged, frayed peach and threadbare face and holy murmur, the dying, but especially the dying. Cool. I'm just gonna say cool after every single poem because they all make me feel super great. This next poem is called Stomach 8. The neurologist hands me a tiny bell to ring if I need help, or if anything strange happens, before sticking me with the last acupuncture needle in my left temple. He turns the light off, set the timer for 20 minutes on his watch, and leaves the room. The door cracked, a billet of light rotting in from the hallway. I am alone, lonely, dissolving into anxieties. Is this something strange? If I need help, would someone actually come? Are we not a team, the neurologist and I? Is he not there to hold my hair when I vomit? There to wipe away the wreckage, but I am alone scrubbing. Is he not there to operate? But as the needles stand, only my body is doing any operating. And he keeps asking for money and when he can see me next, and I hear his voice and the nurse, and I am alone, and I'm not sure if any of this is coming across right. What I'm trying to say is I never ring the bell before it gets taken away from me. These next two poems are also fun. But this next one's called Between Dying. I find myself complaining about the thought that I may have cancer when she has an actual tumor. Bulging her lungs into precipice, a near burst, and how she looks at me, the marred milkweed obsession of her eyes, and grabs hold of my hand, hers cold and swollen, before saying, is there much of a difference between dying and thinking you are? One has a definite end while the other leathers like iskor. Inflamed tissue denote the granulation, pink turned yellow cream, chronic in nature, the nature of a wound that necrotizes right into a reedy pouch of skin, full pus and shrapnel. It's something that just won't heal. This next poem is called The Body Knows the Necessity of Pain. The body knows the necessity of pain. In its sharpness and cruelty, the enamel erosion or xerostoma, the body knows the necessity of giving pain. Handing it down the throat, a dryness, down the esophagus, passing into the stomach, gnarled in a waste of excess kale and tomato sauce, gastric storm, myriad of abdominal torture, further down into the small, to the large intestines and asshole, a tract of suffering, a polluted stream. The body knows the necessity of giving pain better than anything else, its first language, its heritage and home. And then I'm going to read one more from the book, and then I'll end it on a new poem, and then we can get out of here. Google how many summers do any of us have left? Last night when I walked out the Minute Clinic, I looked up into the throbbing, green, brimming, thunder-headed twilight sky, and how lovely that it looks the same, no matter the diagnosis. And this next collection I'm working on is about transness, and this poem is about motherhood. And it's called There is a Universe Where I Am a Mother, There is a universe where I am a mother. Chiffon mouth, sugar lips, bread-baked stomachs, hips swallowed by the shallowest of tides. There is a universe where I am a mother. Barren womb, dormant inside, sand blasted, oven scraped, receding tide. There is a universe where I am a mother. Please nestle the tide, a bassinet of grief. There is a universe where I am a mother. Ah, the boys' locker room, superstar, mommy's golden dime, basketball god, all natural protein shake. Ah, cheering, boy, it's okay to dance, rigid upwelling, spring blooms. There is a universe where I am a mother. Children delivered, tumor farm, Eddie my lungs, misunderstood cells, children athirst for the chemical bath. There is a universe where I am a mother. There is a universe where I am a mother. Riesling iris and wrinkles and beach date and lake ebbing the beach and sand stuck sunglasses and grandchildren and grandchildren and grandchildren and there is a universe where I am a mother. All that was robbed for me, what should have been, how the moon gifts tides and asks nothing in return. Thank you all.
Luna, everybody. Oh my God. Oof. What a reading, folks. What a reading. This was so good. Oh my God. All right. So to ruin everything, I have some silly questions for you, Luna, that I've drafted up here. And I would like to throw out, if anyone has a question or two for the audience, totally would love to take them. But otherwise, I've just got a couple and then we'll call it an evening. But first off, so throughout this collection, no matter the diagnosis, you have these series of poems, right, that are these like Google searches, you know, so like Google, draw, pain, both sides of the mouth, like comma. And I'm curious if this was just clever titling or if this was actually part of the practice of creating these poems, not just having the lived experience, but actually going forth and doing these Google searches and having that actually be part of what you're writing, or if it truly was just clever titling.
Yeah, a bit of both. I think there were a few poems that I wrote, probably like 4 or 5. I think there ended up being like 15 in the collection. But there's like 4 or 5 that I wrote that were originally like, I actually like, they were just like straight up one of my OCD moments where I would Google search something really terrible and then go down a spiral, and that would be the poem. I would say a lot of the collection is reminiscent of that, which is why it's such a big theme and repetition throughout it. I think Googling comes up a ton just because of how it is such a big manifestation in my sort of OCD that I yeah, I don't know. Yes, it's both. Sorry.
No, I was hoping that it was. Because some of like those titles, I was like, I really hope that Luna actually did some of these searches, or if that was like part of the practice here when creating those poems. I think that's
fantastic. I mean, that's why the titles are so weird sometimes, where they are very not titly, I guess.
Right.
It's like OCD test free.
Oh my God, no, I think it's spot on. And actually kind of going off of that with the search, can you do me a favor? Can you hold up your cover again? Can you hold up that beautiful book for me? No, it might center it a little bit. Oh my God, fantastic. I love that drop down. So I want to talk a little bit about covers, because we do like at Game Over Books for these things to be a little bit more collaborative, and you got to work with Mara Sprigga on this, who's a phenomenal cover artist. And so I'm just curious if like was this always kind of the direction for the book of kind of going for this search bar motif? Like what were some of the ideas or different things that you had thought of kind of going into it?
Yeah, no, this is definitely something that the like concept of using the search bar for like the title was definitely like their idea, and then I suggested maybe trying to do that as like the primary thing. I know there was a lot of imagery that was used for like the ones I'm remembering is like a hospital chair with like a person in it in the field. The field is always like the one mainstay, I guess. But I thought it was really unique and interesting and really gets to the heart of the obsessiveness of this collection to have that search like repeated over and over again. I think it really fits the themes of the book. So that was definitely their idea first of all, and then I was like, hey, what if we try to just like keep it repeating? So yeah, I really appreciated the collaborative process for this one.
Awesome. No, yeah, Mara is one of the best, one of the greatest.
Yeah.
I always love actually seeing, because in some other presses, like you really don't get to see like the writer and the actual artist really kind of work a little bit out on what the cover should be, and so I think it makes each one very special. So it's amazing to hear. In terms of some like formatting, I want to talk about a little bit about formatting and intuition. Something I actually really enjoyed going through this particular book was just how much you let the poems and like the writing actually inform the formatting of the piece, right? So you have some different ones throughout where it's like, I remember there's one, and forgive me, I'm not remembering the title, but it's like a pair of lungs, right? And I just like, I don't know, there's these striking formats throughout the book where I'm like, this is awesome. And I really want to know how Luna kind of comes into these things and like where you figure out, you're like, ah, you know what? Like, I don't know, is it from the jump, or is it just like as you're kind of going through it? Like there's another one where it's like literally it's a shower spill. Like you can see the words kind of draining down into like and it's just like incredible. So I would love to hear a little bit more about you in terms of like how you go about your formatting.
Yeah, I think this was one where I was able to like really go as weird as I wanted. I know with like my first book, I kind of pulled back a bit. And this one I really just let it be itself. I think it's hard for me to like really pinpoint like how I know I reformatted this multiple times. I'm sure Josh saw that. That like every time I gave a new version, I was like, oh yeah, this is reformatted, and it's totally different now. I think it's really just like letting the poem speak. But yeah, I think that visual play with like white space and how you see the poem on the page is super important to me as a writer. So yeah, like that poem that's like two lungs, like it's all about like breathing and how that affects you as a person. And yeah, the panic attack poem with the dripping shower, the one that's like tries to mock the OCD test free is mocking a test form. So yeah, but I also at the same time I love having universality to them. So like even though they're all in these formats, they're all in couplets still. They're all like these big chunky poems that are like often it's like the whole page is the poem. A lot of them are just one pagers, which is something new for me. Like I would normally have poems that are varying length throughout. So I mean, I think for this collection in particular, I really wanted to get that the anxiety behind the obsession that's happening, and I think that format really adds to obsession. Like I think it does a lot of work to make things feel very particular and very obsessive about where they go, to kind of feed into that.
Oh, it's seriously, I think Addie said formatting is genius, and I would like to agree. It's just like it's so striking for throughout a number of the poems in the book. Also, I want to give a quick shout out here. Tio's shouting out the 5 different highlighters that would come to workshop. And I'm curious if the 5 highlighters were involved in the creation of this book.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Shout out to the highlighters, though.
I don't workshop poems with people anymore, where I get very anxious about making sure that people know exactly what I mean. So I have to make sure they're different colors. So I'm like, hey, this is more of a content thing or like a subjective thing or like grammar thing, because I am weird like that.
No, that's so organized and makes sense. Will I ever do it? Absolutely not. But I do love it though. Oh my God. All right. So I have a couple more. If no one else got any questions from the chat, I'll bring us out in a second. So I'm curious because you've written a few other books now, and you've dabbled a bit into horror. I don't know if folks know that with the patient routine. And so I'm curious if like you always kind of wanted to go in that direction, if there was always some sort of influence or something about the subject matter that you tend to go to that leans more towards horror. And now that you have done a horror fiction, what has that done for your poetry? Right? How's that come to influence, some of your work since?
Yeah. So for people who don't know, the patient routine is the very hopeless version of the No Matter the Diagnosis, which is the hopeful version of health anxiety. And yeah, I think that book taught me a ton about story and structuring somewhat of a plot. And I think that was super helpful for this book in particular, because it was more all over the place, and I think I could kind of weave it together, where in the book you'll notice that's kind of set up through like a intake to getting out of the hospital kind of situation, and the poems kind of follow through that, not perfectly, but mostly that. But yeah, I mean, I think horror's always been in my heart, and I know that I will have more horror soon. I think that a lot of the content that I write about is I think especially this like the patient routine and No Matter the Diagnosis, like obsession to me is very horrifying, and health anxiety is very horrifying, and I think that it lended well to that format. It's also in verse. Like these books are very, I like to think they're very sister books. They're very similar themes. One just has a brighter outlook, I think.
Okay, I like to hear that. All right. So, all right, let me lean in on this brighter outlook here. So it's something that I ask pretty much any author, because once your book is out in the world, and I'm sure you've written 4 now, so I'm sure people start talking on the Goodreads, they start putting their opinions on things out there, just running their mouths. And I'm just wondering if you, as the author, you put your 4th book out, No Matter the Diagnosis, and I'm curious, what do you hope that your readers are actually going to get? If there's one takeaway that you hope people get from the book, what would it be and why? Coming in with the hard ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's for me, I guess it's some of those ending poems, I think, is the real like what to take away from the book, is that no matter how hard, I don't know, for me, I guess the book for me is a lot of like reassuring myself and kind of coming to terms with that, like the body is a thing that changes and that is constantly evolving and repairing itself, and I think for me that's kind of what I want to get, like, for other people to get out of it. I don't know, the body is a weird fucking thing, and I don't know, I don't think I'll ever fully get it, and I think just being able to explore that in this book is I don't know, it's easier with my fiction book, because like it has such like a people were like, I don't like this character, and as opposed to like poems where I'm like, I don't know, you can figure out whatever you like, whatever you want to take from it, you can take from it. So yeah, that's kind of my answer, is that the body's weird and that's what you take away from it, and maybe you enjoyed.
I think you nailed it. I think you
Hopefully, I mean, if you don't like the character, then that's not me. And if you do like the character, then the speaker is me.
Oh my God, that's too good. That's too good. Okay, one last question, just to round us out here. You know, you did give us a little bit of a taste of that new, what's coming on the horizon. And so, you know, for the folks at home, Luna Ray Hall, what's coming up next? What's book number 5 going to be? What do we got?
Book number 5 will be a horror book that I am in talks with. That's about true crime culture and transness and analog horror. And my next poetry collection is tentatively titled Lucas and is about transness too. Obviously there's massive themes. I don't know why I'm writing about it. It's weird. That one is out there. So can't say more right now, but soon there will be announcements.
I love it. I won't pry. I won't pry. We'll leave it at that. Well, folks, that's our reading for tonight. Again, please give all the love to the readers tonight, Frank, Julia, Emily, Maya, Luna themselves. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to drop a little link here in the chat. There's this little book called No Matter the Diagnosis that just released today. You might have heard of it. If you enjoyed what you heard, please head over to the Game Over Books website. Make sure you get your copy. And yeah, again, you know, as Luna was saying, there's so much insanity going on in the world. You could be anywhere right now, but we're glad that you're here in community and space with us. And making room in your life for just some poems, because we all need something to keep us going right now. So we really appreciate you all. And on that note, that is our show. I hope you enjoyed. Lovely night.